Hi everybody, Steven here. In this video, we're going to take a look at this relatively new tool called the VCF Import Tool. While this tool can do a few things, in this video, what I'm going to do is just take you along the journey on how we could use this tool to convert an existing vSphere environment into a VCF management domain. So this video will be a little bit different because I'm going to show you some of the ups and downs that I've run into as well. So if you want to see all that stuff, you need to stick around. See you in a bit. Hi everybody, thanks for sticking around. So this video is going to be a little different than some of my other ones. Okay, I'm going to cover, as I mentioned before, how do we convert an existing vSphere environment into a VCF management domain, okay? I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. In this video here, I'm actually going to, you might have seen a couple videos out there, but they don't show you any problems. I'm going to show you some of the problems I ran into and how I resolved them. A little spoiler alert, I'm also going to run into a problem and I'm not going to be able to resolve it, okay? And I'll kind of show you why. It was really weird, and I thought I'd share it with you folks, and I'll probably do a subsequent video once I figure things out, and hopefully I figure things out, or maybe with the help of you folks, we could figure it out. Anyways, so before we get started, like I said, this one's here going to probably be a bit longer maybe than usual. There's a lot of command line stuff, so we'll walk you through that. But before we jump into it, just wanted to say I always like to throw this out there. If this is stuff you're interested in, please consider subscribing to the channel. Without subscribers, again, there's no content developers, right? So please support the channel by subscribing. Other ways to support it is liking the video, sharing, all those help with YouTube analytics, leaving comments help out with analytics. And if you want to, totally up to you, I got super thanks enabled. So why don't we get started? All right, so let's talk about what we're doing here. What we're doing is we have an existing vSphere environment, and we'd like to convert it over to a VCF environment. Now, before you couldn't do that. You couldn't do a conversion. You had to spin up a brand new VCF environment and migrate stuff across. Now with 5.2.1, you can actually do a convert. There are restrictions, there are a lot of limitations. For example, if you're using enhanced link mode, forget about it. If you've got iSCSI native storage as your primary storage, forget about it. There's a whole list. If you've got NSX already set up, they're working on these things. So this is kind of the first kick at the can. If you got a vSAN environment, great, no problems. If you got a vSphere environment using fiber channel for its storage, again, no problems. You could do that. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Now we're doing this we're converting this to our management domain, and that's what we call a convert. If I already have a VCF environment up and running and I want to get this other vSphere environment into that VCF, that's called an import. Okay, so there's two different things. There's a convert, there's an import. We're going to be doing a convert. I want to say, I want to set up VCF. I already have a vSphere environment. I don't want to tear it down and spin up a brand new thing. I want to convert that existing one while the VMs are still there. That's what I want to do. Okay. And that's kind of the idea with this. All right, so we're going to take a look at that specifically. So a couple things you got to be aware of. Let me just share my desktop now. Let's go to here. Now, one of the things I always like to point out is how do I find out all this stuff? I'll leave a link to this, but one way to look for this is called the VCF Import Tool. So I know I said convert, but it's called the Import Tools, and it does more than just importing, does converting as well. You'll see some blogs there. You folks can read the blogs. Hopefully my thing will come up on the list. But anyways, over here's the tech docs from Broadcom. When I click on that, it'll come up and it'll show you, it talks about the VCF import tools, options, and parameters. We'll look at some of these. You'll see some of these at the command line. It's a command line tool today. We'll see what happens down the road, okay? Who knows what's in the future, okay? Now, there's a couple things here you need to watch out for. If I go into, first of all, it talks about downloading software or converting imported environments. So when I click on that, it's telling me I need to download some software. The SDDC Manager Appliance, the VCF Import Tools, and the NSX-T install bundle. You need to go to your, log into your Broadcom account and download these things individually. I can't send them to you. Okay, I've had some folks ask me, "Can you send me software?" I can't do that. Okay, that would be illegal. All right, so you gotta download these. So you log into Broadcom. Let me kind of show you mine. Let me see 1 second. So I already signed into my Broadcom environment. You want to go to Cloud Foundation because that's the product we're talking about. You're gonna pick your version. Come on. Give it a few seconds here. 5.2, I'm going to pick that. 5.2.1, that's what I'm playing with. Great, I'm going to pick that. And then over here is where, once it loads up, this is where you would normally download the products if you're licensed to do that, right over here. But notice under drivers and tools, when I click on drivers and tools, you'll see the VCF Import Tool. You'll see the bundle transfer utility. And let's look at this one, the VCF Import Tool. When I click on that, sorry about that. In there, at VCF Import, you'll see the install bundle for NSX, and you'll see the VCF Import Tool, okay? So you'll need that, all right? Let me get rid of that. And then under here, you'll see the SDDC Manager Appliance. You want to make sure you're using the latest and greatest whatever here, okay? And that's what I'm kind of showing you right now. So you would download these and you got to install it, all right? Once you've done that, that link that I'm going to have in the comments and I kind of showed you where you look at this stuff, if I click on here, convert a vSphere environment to a management domain. So that's what we're going to do. When I click on that, it actually comes through. It gives you like considerations. You folks can read that. I talked about some of it already, just a brief few things there, but you should read that. But you'll see step 1, copy the VCF import tool to the target vCenter appliance. Run a pre-check on the vCenter. And you can click on these and it'll give you steps for the most part, right? Remove the import tool from, they don't tell you how to do it, so you got to figure that out. Deploy the SDC Manager appliance. Generate the NSX deployment JSON file, and it gives you examples of all these things as you go through here, okay? So we're going to be running through a lot of this stuff. That's why I said this video might take a little bit longer than most, all right? So so why don't we do that? I guess first thing is copy the VCF import tool to the target appliance, right? So let me just dump that over there, and let's SSH into my vCenter server. Now, I'm going to use WinSCP. I just find it easier. Why not? So let me just double click on this. Oh, by the way, sorry. You got to make sure that your bill of materials, as I mentioned before, are at the proper versions and whatnot. Okay, I've got my environment all set up. I've got four hosts in my environment, and I got vSAN set up. If you're wondering, that's basically it. I don't really have anything too crazy going on here. I did try it with 3 hosts with vSAN, and it didn't like it. Okay, I'm not saying it doesn't work. It just didn't work for me. But anyways, it kind of crapped out in the conversion process. So let me go over here. I'm going to SSH into my vCenter appliance. So where is my vCenter appliance? vCenter 1, that's not the one I want. Hey, what happened to it? It's right there. I'm going to double click on this. And, okay, whatever. And there we go. I had the password all saved in there. So basically, I've SSH'd into this. Now, if you try this, you're going to probably get an error. Let me just show you something real quick here. Let me get rid of this. And it's actually on the internet, the solution here. Let me just add in, actually, sorry, am I messing up here? Yeah, I think I'm messing up hard. Let's go into, sorry, folks. Let's try this again. And or I want to add another one and always forget this one. Yeah, right there, new site. Sorry about that. So new site, let me just type in my host name. I'll say, I'm just going to type in the IP address. 162. Man, I can't type today. 20.10.94. That's my address for my vCenter server, the user, and its password. Great, and I'm going to log in. I'll see, it says there's the thumbprint. Yeah, that's the thumbprint. I'll go continue. And starting set, cannot initialize that the host is not running FTP, secure FTP server. You might get this message, okay? And I kind of struggled this one for a little bit. I can SSH into it. but WinSCP is failing. If I actually go into here, because if you SSH into your vCenter server, you want to do some command line stuff, you got to run the shell. So if I actually, let me just kill that. Let's go back in here. Let me show you the setting in WinSCP. I had to set up. Let me go into, where is it again? Where are we again? Come on, there we go. Let's go into edit. I'm going to go to advanced, and then over here, secure FTP. I'm going to leave this up on the screen. You have to enter this parameter in here for it to work, or else you'll get that error I just did, okay? So that's why I didn't see it the first time. I've already got it set up. So I got that there. You can copy it down. This basically tells it to run the shell, okay? So whatever, I'm going to cancel that settings. I'll cancel that, and we'll log in, all right? So now while that's logging in, it says copy the tools over, right? So it tells you over here basically how to do it, but it's not telling you with WinSCP. That's how I'm doing it. But it does tell me to make a directory temp VCF import, okay? So let's do that. Let's go ahead and make a directory there, and then from there we'll actually extract the file, okay? And it gives you the instructions here as well. So let me just go into here. Let's go into, it already was in temp. It looked like temp. Let's go new directory, VCF import, and I spelt it wrong. I was gonna say you can kind of skip this step, but to be honest with you, you shouldn't. Okay, I've kind of just for some testing, I've kind of skipped it because I find some of these tests are also done a little bit later. Anyways, that doesn't really matter. So now that tool that I downloaded from VMware. I need to or Broadcom, I should say. I need to install it. So you'll see I've downloaded everything here already. So here is the tool I want, VCF Brownfield Import. So I'm just going to copy that over and hit F5. I'm going to go OK, and then away we go. So it's copied over there. Now I need to extract that. So I'm just going to SSH into it just from a command prompt. And here we go. And we'll log in as root. One bang. And let's change you probably know what my password is, but I don't care because this thing gets blown away on a daily basis. Let me change my settings here. Appearance. Change. Let's make it a bit bigger. Okay. And let's change the color. Background, modify. Let's do something like that. Okay. I hope that comes out okay for most of these. Okay. I'm going to type in shell. I'm going to go into that directory, VCF import. If I do directory listing, you'll see there's that file there. So I'm going to extract it, tar, tape archive, dash, extract, verbose file, dash, VCF. I hit enter, boom, it's extracted it now. So once I've done that, the next step, again, if I just follow along with this document here, if I go back, the next run the pre-check on the target vCenter before conversion. So I'm going to click on that, and it'll tell me to change my directory into this directory here. Now there's actually a little typo there. It says toolkit, should be, I think it's tool set. Doesn't matter. Then from there I run this Python 3 pre-check, and then the name of my vCenter server and the single sign-on user and its password. Okay, and then once that's done, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and do that, right? So let me, what directory? I see VCF, CD space VCF, VCF. So it says tool set, okay? Tool set, okay? So a little typo in their documentation there. Okay, there we are. We're in that directory. I'm going to type in Python 3 VCF thing, and then I'm going to do, what is it, pre-check? Let's just confirm that. Let's go back to here. Yep, pre-check right down here. It says pre-check. So I'll just type that in. Now this is where the window gets a little bit brutal. And I should probably move this out of the way of my face. There we go. So this way you can still see my face on the bottom right corner. There we go. That should be okay. Let's move that up a bit more. Sorry about that. That's good. All right. Pre-check. There's an autofill. Pre-check. Stash ask vCenter. The name of your vCenter server. Sorry. vCenter. Right. Yeah. And the name of your vCenter server. site vCenter server appliance 01.vclass.local, my fully qualified domain name, the single sign-on user, so SSO user, and it's administrator at vSphere.local for my environment, --SSO password, and then my password, which I don't care if you see it or not, because it gets blown away anyways, and it's my lab environment. All right, that looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna hit enter and let's see what happens. So it's running through. Green looks good to me, right? Let's see if there's a red or a yellow. Everything looks good. So pre-checks for vCenter server are complete. So for the most part, I find that this kind of works. But again, that's it. I'm done. I can go in and delete those files if I want to. So my vCenter server from an initial check looks good. We still got more testing to do, okay? So let's do the next bit. Okay, so the next step that we got to do here, let's get this over here, is we did our pre-checks, is remove the VCF Import Tool. I already did that. I forgot to hit the record button. I just went into WinSCP and hit delete on the directory. It was really easy, okay? They don't tell you how to do it here, but you should do it just to be on the safe side. So the next step we got to do is deploy the SDDC Manager appliance, okay? So you can click on it, it'll tell you how to install it. I already do. Let's go to the next step here. So let's go into here. Now, one of the things you want to be aware of is your vSphere environment. In order for this to work for the management domain, your vCenter server must also be running on the hosts or the cluster that you're converting over, okay? If this vCenter server was being hosted by some other ESXi host managed by a different vCenter, this won't work. It'll tell you need to move it over. So this is one of the requirements. So I need to put the SDDC manager here as well. Now, just a quick thing on my environment. If I look at each host here, I just basically have a distributed switch. I got 2 NICs on my hosts, and that's it. All these 4 hosts are using the distributed switch. If I go into here, see, there's my distributed switch. I got a vMotion, vSAN. I got a management network, and I got a VM network over here. Nothing crazy, all right? I got rid of my standard switches, all right? So I'm going to deploy the SDDC manager. I'll put it on host 2, let's say. Let's go to deploy OVF. Now, if you've seen my video on backing up or restoring your SDDC manager in VCF, I'll show you how to deploy it there, but again, you'll see it again here. So let's go okay, files. And again, I already downloaded this from the Broadcom support site. I'll go next. And mine is called SDDC and I'll go next. Looks good. I'll go next, and we let it percolate for a little bit. And you know what? I forgot the IP address of that. Bear with me while that's doing its thing. Let me just do something real quick. SDDC MTR 160. Forgot what the IP address was. I'm going to go accept license. By the way, first, forward and reverse DNS for all this stuff, folks. NTP settings, all this stuff is important, okay? So my deployance, I'm going to put it on my vSAN data store in this cluster. Great. I'm going to put this I'm going to put on my management network, so it could talk to my vCenter server. It could talk to my ESXi hosts and stuff. So I got one there called management network. I'll click OK. Over here, I'll go next. Now it's asking me for all the passwords. Notice again, it's going to come up and tell you that all these things have to be like 15 characters long and stuff like that, right? Surprised it's not showing me that. Yeah, there we go. As soon as I started typing stuff in, it's going to be 15 characters long. I'm going to probably speed this up. Okay, so I entered all the passwords for the basic authentication user, the backup user, the root user, the VCF user, a bunch of users. So I put in the names there. You probably saw it also. Now you got to type in the host name of this appliance. Make sure you got forward and reverse lookup set. You'll see that my browser cached mine. So yep, so that's the name of my SDDC manager. My NTP servers. Again, you want to make sure you got proper. This is really important, proper NTP synchronization. I've run into issues with if I didn't have that, okay? So you want to make sure that that's all set up properly. FIPS, it's up to you. If your vCenter is using FIPS, you want this to use FIPS. I'm not. That's for like federal security stuff. I'm not doing it. What's the IP address of the appliance? Again, this is mine, and it's subnet mask. Now it's going to ask you for its default gateway. That would be the management network, my gateway, management network. what the domain name is and what the search path is. So you may have more than just one search path, right? So mine here, my domain is vclass.local, and my search path is the same. I try to keep it the same as I mentioned. If you watch my videos, is my classroom environments, in case I could use this for demos, right? And then my name server. So my name server is like, this is my name server, or servers. You would probably have more than one. This is my lab environment. So you check all this stuff and you basically hit next. You confirm it, and it's going to go through and basically set it up. Now, in my lab environment, this takes about 10 minutes or so, right? So we're not going to sit here and watch this. We're going to come right back, and it'll be powered on and ready to rock and roll, okay? By the way, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, okay? Consider supporting the channel. I'd really appreciate it. The other thing, too, if you haven't liked this video, if it's lasted this long, hey, hit that like button. That helps out as well. See you back in a bit. Actually, you can see it's deploying in the background. While we're doing that, why don't we do something here? The next step is, after we deploy the appliance, is to generate this NSX deployment specification for converting or importing. Remember, converting means I'm converting a vSphere environment to a management domain. Importing means I got a vSphere environment, I already have a VCF environment, and I want to import. So I already have a management domain. I want to import that in. Okay, that's the difference. Anyways, we're doing converting. Doesn't matter. Let me click on this, and it tells you over here you have to make this JSON file. And they talk about stuff about considerations that you got to take in the back of your mind for NSX. You folks can read through that on your own. Here is basically what you have to put in here. So you copy all this, put it inside a JSON file, okay? Create a new file, text file, call it whatever you want, .json, and then you'll need to put in your license key. This is not the license key. That won't work. I haven't tried it, but go ahead and knock yourself out, okay? It's going to ask you for the path to the bundle. There's a bundle you downloaded from the support site. That's the NSX support bundle. Again, so you have to upload that to the directory. We'll do that once my SDDC manager is deployed. Then it's going to ask you, what's the cluster IP of your NSX manager? Remember, you need 3 managers. I tried this with just one, and it failed. Okay, I said, sorry, hit the brakes. You need 3, okay? I'm sure there's a way around it. I'm not that smart. Anyways, then it's going to ask you for the fully qualified domain name of the NSX cluster, okay? And then it'll ask you for each of the nodes, their fully qualified domain name, their name, just the name, their IP address, their subnet mask, their gateway, and their subnet mask. That's the first manager right there. Here's the second manager there. Here's the third manager, okay? So you need to create this. Now, let me get this out of the way. This, you can see it's still deploying SDDC manager. I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you mine. So there's one I created called my NSX.json. Again, I don't have much of an imagination, folks, right? So if I go into edit this, you'll probably see I'm going to gray out my license file. That's at the top there. But you'll see the form factor, that's the size of it. It's a medium, small, not small, sorry, medium, large, extra large. And then your password. Again, I don't care if you folks see my password from my NSX. I'm going to blow this stuff away. So you put in your password there. The location of where you're installing this bundle. What's this bundle? It's the bundle you downloaded from Broadcom, those things I showed you earlier, right? Here's my cluster IP, and here is the fully qualified domain name for that cluster. So instead of me having to go to each manager individually, I can just go to this cluster IP, sa-nsxmgr.vclass.local, and it will basically send me to one of the managers. If you're not sure about that stuff, watch my NSX videos. Here's the information from my first NSX manager. It's fully qualified host name, its name, display name, its IP address, its gateway, and the subnet mask. Okay. Here again is for my second NSX manager and my third NSX manager. So I save this as JSON. So you copy that from the site. You put in your values or whatever, okay? And like I said, you put in the license key, which I've got grayed out over here. And then you upload this and the bundle to the site. And I think they actually missed that step in the instructions there, but we're going to do it, okay? So let me kill that. And we see it's still deployed. So we'll come back to that, okay? So we ran that install. We switched back to the VCF user. and we changed into the directory where the tool sets are, and then we ran this command here, the help. Okay, so that looks good. So our next thing now is to run the detailed, okay, upload. We already did this. We're on step 7. We're almost done here, folks. Run a detailed check on the target vCenter before conversion or import. And I click on this, it's going to tell you basically. So now this is kind of generic. Before the conversion or before the import. You got to understand the difference between conversion and import. Conversion, you're creating a management domain, management workload domain. You don't have an SDDC manager. This is you're converting, right? Importing, you already have VCF up and running, whether you converted or did a greenfield install, and you're importing, okay? We're doing a conversion. We're converting existing vSphere to a VCF management domain. And it basically comes up here and it tells you to run this, it tells us to change directory into the tool set directory, which we're already there. That's where we read that help. And it tells me to run this command here, and I want to do a check, put in the vCenter server, the single sign-on username, and so on. So let's just do that. Let's go back to here. We're already in that tool set directory. Okay, so now all I have to do, and this is where we're going to see a couple of things, okay? They may not be that bad, but I'm going to show you how to fix them, because a lot of videos I see, and there's not a lot of videos out there, to be honest with you, nothing, everything's perfect, right? Well, I'll show you how to get around that, how everything is perfect thing. So let's type in Python 3 VCF, and we want to do a check, right? Yeah, check. Type in my vCenter. This is vCenter, site a-vCenter appliance-01.vclass.local -- single sign-on -user is my administrator. vSphere.local. Just make sure my recording's doing okay here. I should move this up. Okay, and then -- single sign-on -user. Sorry, password. That's for my vSphere, vCenter server. So let's hit enter and see what happens. So we come up, it says brownfield version. Please make sure you're always using the latest version of the scripts. It's asking me to enter the SDDC manager local admin. So this is the SDDC manager. So I got to type in that big long password that I set up when I deployed the appliance. Then it's going to ask me nothing. It comes up and it's asking me, it looks here, it's complaining about a thumbprint. It says this vCenter server appliance thumbprint that doesn't trust it. Are you saying, should I trust it? I'm going to say, yes, I do. In production, you want to make sure that's the proper thumbprint. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to hit enter. Now, at this point here, it's going through. You'll see a lot of 200s. 200s are okay, and I don't know why they got them in yellow. They should be in green as far as I'm concerned. The 200 is okay. Notice over here in the red, it says SDDC Manager Controller Info Retriever 404 and Data Center Source 400. I've seen that come up like pretty much every single time in my environment. I've seen some simulations that have this. I've seen some other demos that don't show it. I'm not sure why that's coming up, and I don't know what it means, to be honest with you. If there's any VMware employees watching this, I'd really appreciate a comment on you on that, okay? But everything else is going good. Now, this is the part where you want to look at. Total checks, 96. That's the highlight's a little messed up. Successful checks, 91. Failed checks, 5. So it's saying, hey, we found 5 problems. What are those problems? Well, those problems are in these thing called guardrail support or guardrail report files. You'll notice there's 3 of them here. There's one I got highlighted, guardrails report, vclass.yaml. There's a YAML file. There's a CSV file, and there's another CSV file. So whichever one turns your crank, you can view it in the spreadsheet or whatever. We're going to look at the YAML file. Now, that's in the output folder. So let's see the output. And I'm going to do a cat, display the file, guardrails report, and I'm going to do the .yaml, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, let me just move this up a little bit more. I didn't want to move that up. I wanted to move this up a bit more. There we go. So we look here. First of all, it's telling me this cluster here, ESX upgrade warning. So warnings are stuff you could pretty much ignore, but I'll show you how we can clear it. And then there's another warning here, another warning. If I scroll down, there's an error here. Errors are bad, okay? You want to fix those. What's the error saying? It says the vSAN managed disk claim mode is disabled. Excuse me. Sorry about that, folks. Still coming off a bit of a cold there. Had the cough. So my vSAN is not claiming the disks automatically, so I need to fix this. These other ones here are talking about upgrade policies and stuff like that. And I'll show you what this is and how to resolve this, okay? So let's go into my vCenter. First of all, let's go to cluster 1. Let's go into configure. Let's go into the error is bad. Let's go into, let's get rid of this, get a bit more space here. Let's go vSAN disk management. We're going to change disk mode and vSAN manage disk claim. So this is one of the things you have to have set up. So I'll say apply. Great. So we'll give that a few seconds. All right. So it's querying, whatever. So it's doing its thing there. Great. So that's done. So if I run the report again, that vSAN thing should be gone. But the other stuff there, these these other errors there or warnings will still be there. What those are talking about is your cluster. Right now, if I go to I select my cluster. If I go to updates, right now I see baselines and images. This cluster is not set up to use Lifecycle Manager images. It's defaulted to baseline. So if you're using baselines, you're going to run into those warnings. Now, you should be able to proceed, okay? I'm going to fix this. I'm going to go in here in mine and say, okay, image, I want to manage it. Now, when you click on this, it'll actually check and see what images you have on your host. This is the image I'm using. That is the one in the bill of materials, okay? The VCF 5.2.1 bill of material for the host. I'm going to say, yes, proceed using this image, right? So, and that's going to take a few seconds to do. Okay, we'll let this done. Now, if you're not familiar about this lifecycle management stuff, I've got a video on this, so you'll want to watch that. There's a lot of moving parts here, right? So that looks good. That's the baseline image I want. That's for the bill of materials for VCF, and I'm going to go save. Okay, now. And it's going to check the image compliance. So if you want to do a convert, remember, if I said if you're doing a conversion, you got to make sure you're at that bill of material version, okay? And again, just while this is doing its thing, let's go over here. How do I find that stuff, Steve? How do I figure that out, right? I'm just going to go to Google, right? It's going to go bill of materials, BOM, VCF 5.2.1. It's going to come up and say release notes for 5.2.1. I'm going to click on that link. These are the release notes. I'm going to scroll down. Pretty sure I showed this in the beginning. I keep pausing and stuff. I forget what I done. There we go. And you'll see the vCenter server has to be at this, update 3, build level, and the ESXi host have to be at this level. Look at that, the build number. That's what I'm using, okay? Same thing with the SDDC manager. All these other things, I guess NSX I don't really have to worry about, but doing this conversion, I better have all these versions here, okay? Let's get out of there. And let's finish image setup. Yes, okay, finishing up, replace it. Okay, so what it's telling me here says, hey, you know what? You sure you want to use lifecycle management image? If you do that, you can't use baselines anymore. Watch my lifecycle manager video on that. So I'm going to say, yeah, I don't care about it. And I could tell that this cluster wasn't set up to use images because I see an option for baselines there. See how the option is gone now? Great. I'm not done. One more thing I have to do. Let's go into image compliance. Let's go to edit remediation settings. Migrate powered off VMs and suspended VMs to other hosts. What this is doing, let's look at those errors again. What it's doing, it's saying, hey, your vCenter server, let's look at one. SDDC manager upgrade policy. vCenter server has a certain setting and the default setting in the SDDC manager is different. So it's saying, hey, SDDC manager looking for this setting. Your vCenter's got this. Hey, it doesn't. That's why it's a warning. So, but I don't like seeing those. I'm just gonna say save this, and I'm gonna go there. You notice the device compatibility must be verified. I'm in a nested environment. So that's all done. Let's try this again, and let's change directory. Let's go back out of the output folder and go back into the tool set folder. Let's rerun that command. And I got to type in the SDDC manager password. You got to type in. Nope, you don't have to do it. I still see that 404 there with the data source. It's driving me up the wall. The 200s are okay, right? I don't know why they show yellow. They should be changed to green as far as I'm concerned. That's, again, when I read this stuff, it says 200's okay. We give this thing a few minutes to do its stuff. It's triggering guardrails. And then we'll see what happens. This may take about a minute. So that didn't take long, okay? It basically took about 30 seconds, okay? Notice over here, total checks 93. Now it's green over here. Total checks 93. Successful checks 93. Failed checks 0. Then it's telling me to look at the guardrails again, right? Let's go back in and look at those files. Let's go into output folder. Let's type in cat guardrails reports .yaml. Nothing's in there. So that looks good. We're looking really good right now. So what I could do at this point now, okay, let's see what the instructions say first. Let's go back to here. That's not what I want. So run a detailed check, okay? So we did all that stuff here, and it's all documented here, okay? Gives you some troubleshooting over here, which actually the last time I checked it, that link wasn't working. VCF troubleshooting, yeah, it doesn't really give me much. Anyways, so let's go back to here now. Guess what we're ready to do? We're ready to convert or import. We're ready to do the convert, okay? So let's click on that, and it's telling me basically, again, go into that toolset directory, okay? Make sure you're in as the VCF user on the SDDC manager, and then it tells you now to run with the convert parameter. Then it tells you the vCenter server name, which I've shown you, and then the single sign-on user, which I've shown you, but then the domain name. That's new, right? The domain name is the name of the workload domain you want to call it. And then the other parameter is the NSX deployment spec parameter or path, right? You're saying this is where my JSON file is for NSX. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So let's get out of that CD space up. And so we're in tool set. Oh, I don't want to do that. There we go. We want to, the parameter we want to do is convert. There's our vCenter, single sign-on username. I'll leave the password in. Then we got to type in, I always forget, domain name, yeah. Domain name. And then I'm going to call this my management workload domain, whatever. I don't got much of an imagination. Then --NSX deployment spec path, I think that is. Let me just check this thing there. NSX deployment spec path, NSX deployment spec path, and then that's asking me where is that JSON file, and that's in the home/VCF/ and the name of it's my NSX.json. Now, a couple things I just want to mention here. This --NSX deployment --. There's not a lot of documentation on these parameters, and I really wish there was, because I've seen some demos and some other stuff where they could actually say skip the NSX deployment, because this will deploy your NSX manager in the cluster, right? I say, no, I want to skip that, right? There's a bunch of other parameters here that they don't show you in the documentation here, or I haven't found it. If somebody has a link to those parameters, please share with everybody in the comments. This looks good to me. Let's hit enter and come up. It's asking me SDDC manager again. Again, you can even put in these passwords in those parameters. The vCenter, it's asking me for vCenter server SSH password. It's asking me for the SDDC manager backup user. It's almost comical, but anyways. Oh, shoot. I think I typed that wrong. Let's try that again. Okay, let's try that again. SDDC manager. Gotta take your time. vCenter root password. SSD manager backup. This was all set up when we deployed the SDDC manager, except for the vCenter one, obviously. path for spec. Make sure the path exists. Oh, that's interesting. Did I not copy that over? I guess I didn't. I don't think I did. Hey, everybody makes mistakes, right? So let's go into WinSCP. Let's go into my SDDC manager. Let's log in as VCF. And let's go into... Okay, yeah, I didn't copy it over. I'm at the home directory of VCF. Let's copy in that file. There we go. It's there now. Let's get out. Okay. And let's try that again. Oh, I got to type in all those passwords again. All right, let's try this one more time. Somebody watching the YouTube channel probably knows, hey, Steve, you forgot to copy it over. There we go. Okay. So, a little scary when you first see this, right? Even though I had to do a double check on this. I've run this so many times and stuff like that, I always forget where I am. Now, notice again, when I highlight it's bad, it's coming up and saying, hey, I don't trust this vCenter server certificate. Should I trust it? And you're going to say yes, right? And there we go. It's going to do that. Now, guess what? Here's that again, that thing. 200 errors, 200, they're not errors, I guess they're confirmations, are okay. That 404 and 400, again, I've seen those in the past and it works, but anyhow. Now, this is going to go through, do a few things. Notice this says guardrails in process. It's doing a few things. It's going to come back up again with a list of keys that it doesn't trust, my ESXi servers. See at the top there, I said, yeah, go ahead and trust the keys for the vCenter. It's going to come back and show me, hey, I got 4 ESXi servers here I don't trust the keys for. Notice it's, again, doing this discovery. It's doing a whole bunch of stuff here, right? Here we go. It comes up and says, here's your 4 ESXi servers. These are the keys. Should I trust these? I'm going to say yes, okay? And I'll go, and away you go. Now, again, that's in my environment. I'm using untrusted certificates. I'm using the defaults. That's okay for me, right? In your environment, you're probably using trusted certificates. This is going to take a while. Okay, so I'm just going to let this run. This could take about an hour or so. You know what? My lab environment, so it's not that it doesn't have a lot of power, but anyways, it's it kind of varies. I think sometimes it depends on what's kind of going on here. At one point, before it starts to do the NSX stuff, it's going to come up and tell me do a snapshot of the SDDC manager, and it's right before it does the NSX deployment. And that's usually where I see the problem. You'll notice everything here is all green and stuff like that. There's yellow to 200s. Again, 200s are supposed to be okay. So, excuse me. So yeah, so it's just doing its thing right now. I'm just gonna let it run. Okay, folks. I'm gonna probably speed this up so you don't have to watch the whole thing. All right. By the way, everybody, why don't we do something here? While this is going on, because you don't really see a whole lot here, and you probably noticed a little pop-up before on my browser in the background. Let's go to my SDDC manager now, and I've logged in, and you'll actually see, if we give it a few seconds, there should be a task running in the background here. Don't tell me my browser just crapped out on me. I think my browser just crapped out on me. Okay, you can actually see upload personality to the SDDC manager, right? So it's doing this domain import, and then you can actually look at the task. Let's move this up. You can look at the update personality to SDDC manager. I guess upload personality basically means like your configuration, right? Hey, I got this vCenter server, I got this cluster, I got this ESXi host, this is the networking, all that kind of stuff. And you see there's a bunch of tasks here. So you can kind of look through here and see what's going on, all right? Now that it's actually trying to bring all that stuff in. It hasn't started installing NSX Manager, but if it did, I could actually look here and see the appliances installing and the tasks in here, right? So, so you can actually do something like this. Don't be canceling. Don't be messing around in here, right? You know, just kind of leave it alone. So let's go back to here and let this run, okay? So. Okay, everybody, we can see that it's finished uploading the bundles. If you've been watching the video there, you'll see, okay, upload bundle successful. It doesn't really give me more information than that, but you see all the other tasks from the SDDC manager were kind of successful as well, right? And all the subtasks from there. So that's kind of neat. So we're going to leave that alone for now. Now it's telling me to do a snapshot of the SDDC manager. Not sure why it's telling me to do that, but hey, what the heck? Let's follow the instructions and let's go into my vCenter server and do a snapshot of that SDDC manager. Now this might take a little while in my environment. Let's go right click. We're going to go snapshot. Take a snapshot. I'll just call it whatever, snapshot, whatever. I'm going to include the virtual machine's memory as well, and I'm going to hit create. Now, this might take a little while in my environment. I'm not exactly sure why it would take that long. We're at 1%. Here we go. So I'm just going to let that go. It's already at 3%, and we'll come back when that's done, okay? Okay, so snapshot's complete. Let's continue on here. And it says, proceed with the deployment operation. I'm going to type in yes, and I can hit enter. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is the part where it craps out. But I seen something a little weird. Now, let's see what happens during this one. Maybe it's going to work for me. You never know, right? So it's pulling the NSX deployment workflow, right? So if I go into the SDDC manager, sorry, I should see some kind of workflow going here. Install and configure VLAN, okay. So right off the bat there, I got some failures here. Generate release resource lock data, right? Failed to generate release resource locks data. Not sure exactly what that is. I've looked up some of these errors before. NSX input for VLAN back. This this is the weird part. Okay, so let's just see here. Let's go back into here. It's still doing this, but we notice we had a failure right away. Okay, this is the weird part. I'm going to let it go through anyways. Now, what did when I this bundle that we uploaded, this bundle 133764.zip, that's actually your NSX bundle. That contains NSX 4.2.1 whatever, okay? Notice over here it's saying generate input, okay, whatever. Product NSX Manager image not found for version 4.1.2.3. What the heck is going on here? It's supposed to be installing 4.2.1. Why is it looking for that image? Because this is the bundle that, now if I extract that bundle, which I actually have, just to see what's installed inside it, and if let me just get my, let me just get this thing over here, and then I'll show you. And if I extract that bundle, where are you now? This is the appliance that's in that bundle, 4.2. What that's part of the bill of materials. If I actually go to bill of materials again, let's do that. VOM VCF 5.2.1, and look at the release notes. So I have a funny feeling that that error that's in the task is not really giving us a lot of information here. Look at that, NSX 4.2.1. That's what it's supposed to be deploying. Why is this saying it can't find a bundle 4.1.2, whatever? So maybe this is an improper error message. I don't know. But I find this a little weird, to be honest with you, right? And it failed, and this probably should have crapped out. But yeah, there we go. Deployment task does not succeed. Patch and retry the operation. I'm going to say no, because when I say yes, it just craps out. Now, I could do the installation of NSX separately afterwards. I could run that command and just say, instead of the convert command, I can specify deploy NSX command. That's an option. I've tried that and it fails as well, right? So it says deployment of your cluster completed with one warning, more of an error. Deployment failed. Please review the domain manager log. And again, I'm not going to bore you going through logs here, folks. I've actually looked through that log. I haven't found a whole lot of stuff on it, right? I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep that log, and we're going to kind of, I'll see what happens now. So that's basically it for this video. Now, I did warn you in the beginning. I said it's going to fail at the end. I'm not sure why it's failing. I wanted to bring you folks along just in case you run into this issue as well, or just to be maybe aware of it, right? If I do find out a fix, or if somebody leaves, please leave comments, questions down below on this. If you're a VMware employee, please let me know, right? That would be great. I've basically tried a lot of stuff. I dug through these logs. I've done a few things, and at this point I said, you know what, I want to publish this video just to kind of get everybody a little bit, be aware of some of the stuff. So that's basically about it. If I go into my SDDC manager, let's not, it's not all bad news, to be honest with you. If I go into my SDDC manager, if I go to workload domains, everything looks great. Here's my management domain there. I called it management workload domain. It's there. I can go to services. I don't see the NSX manager. I see the vCenter. I could do the updates on this if I want to. I could look at my host. I could take advantage of a lot of the features that the SDDC manager brings to the table. So this looks really good. Okay. The only thing is though, how do I install NSX after the fact? Okay, and again, there's no install NSX in the GUI here. You got to do it for the command line through that import tool, which I just showed you. But again, it craps out at this point here. So I don't know sure if it's a bug or not, or whatever the case may be. Just another disclosure here, folks. I am in a nested environment. That means I am I'm in an unsupported environment, okay? So we have to kind of bring that to the table here as well, all right? So I am not in a fully supported environment, but I have run NSX in my environment a million times. and never had an issue. So I'm not sure why it's crapping out at this point here, and it's again saying it's looking for this weird version of NSX. So I might try and see if I can extract the bundle with that version and see if it passes, but I wanted to share this with you folks. But that's about it. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you've got any suggestions here, again, please leave them down below. I always get back to all the comments. But that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to support it. Thumbs up if you liked it or found it informational. I know it wasn't a success, but we're getting there. See you in the next one. Bye now.